Chalo, let's get started. Let's get started, everybody. Chalo, Safiuddin, Vaibhav. Okay, nice. Chalo, Abhinash and all. Let's get started. I'm sharing my screen. We will discuss what are the key things we are going to do today. Focus fully because we will be focusing on two particular aspects. Okay. One is how can you develop a project independently without anybody hiring you. You can just start right from tomorrow onwards, and in your resume you can start having a project. Very important phase. Okay. So that is one thing, because of resume is required with project. You don't need anybody to do that. Just your intelligence is required, and today we will do step by step like guidance how exactly you can do that. Okay, so that is the first one. The second thing is we will be working as per the IT process as part of today's session. Okay, so like how in the IT company this project is going to be implemented. So I will be sharing you the process, the tools that will be required for doing that. So if you can really practice it, okay, make a project and try this process and do this thing together, and then when you go in for interview you can confidently tell them, okay, yes, I used to work like this on my project, and it will really carry a lot of value. Okay, so chalo, let's get started, everybody. I am sharing the screen. Okay, let's go. Please focus all, please focus everyone. So here it is, screen shared. Opening my notepad. Okay guys, so chalo, let's start with the first thing. We need to work on a project. Okay, and we have already covered this. Project is required, it is mandatory. IT is expecting people to work on some project or the other. Forget about IT, your college is expecting that, right? In the final semesters you should have a project and everything. The project is mandatory. Okay, and project tells you a lot of things. It puts everything together: how to code, how to work on a project, how to take it live, how to work with the entire tools for making it fully ready for development. So project tells a lot. It's not just about a training of learning a technology and just executing one piece, but how everything puts together to get an outcome. And that is where projects are really required, because those who work on projects, they are expected to have better maturity compared to that person who is working on just independent technology tasks. Okay, so that is what is the assumption, and that is true as well. Okay, now the thing is, we already said ki, okay, if you want to have working on a project, multiple ways are there. Take up an internship, get into the companies, or there is something like, yes, non-profits, freelancing, and or let's say those kind of things, right? GitHub related projects, open source based projects. So there are multiple ways where you can actually work on projects. But let's consider a worst case. If you don't get an opportunity to work on projects with any of them, don't lose your time. Like we said yesterday, you should show that currently you are doing something, right? And now for showing that currently you're doing something, we need to even have this option of working on self-project. Okay, compared to other projects like with internship, with companies, or with these other platforms, self-project will carry less value, but it will be better than not having any project. So at least instead of having a blank resume, you should have a self-project, bare minimum included. Okay, now the point itself says self-project. Nothing but you yourself worked on that project. Okay, now we need to figure out which kind of project and all those things. Okay, so guys, everybody ready for it? एक एक करके bullet points में लेते हैं कि what you are supposed to do, and it is going to get pretty interesting. Now all the people, let's say, who are doing internship with us, like January wale, if you want to add one more project, you can add another project and say, I did this as my self project as well. Okay, so just anybody can apply that. Okay, you need not just have one project with you. You can just put, okay, I did this project like as a self, or this I did in my past. You can have 2-3 projects also. It's all up to you how much you can dig down with this concept. Okay, so chalo, let's get started. Thanks Arnav, Barsal, and all the members. Vamshi, Krishna, let's go team. Okay, dekho guys, first of all, self project, it includes choose a project which is relevant for the job which you are trying to apply. Otherwise project ka value will not be that much. So did a project in Python, applying for Java, it will not have that much value, right? So your project should be in the technology in which you are trying to apply for role. That's how it considers. Okay, so choose the technology of project in line to the role you are applying. Okay, this is one important thing to be considered. Okay, now the second thing, there is something called as functional project. For example, you see any real world website, any application, right? Anything that you see in the real world, any website or anything, they are all functional projects. Now you need to understand any functional project, any website that you're seeing in the real world, any apps that you're seeing in the real world, or that is functional projects. Any functional project can be developed in almost any technology. On an average, let's remove the exceptions, but if you just look at a high level, 80-90% times, almost majority of the times, any project can be developed in any technology. There will be some needs here for this is the best technology, but at a high level, if you see, any functional requirements can be built in any technology. That means if you're a front-end person, if you know Angular, you can make that project in Angular. If you know React, you can make that project in React. So project is independent from the technology that you choose for building. I'm talking from developers' perspective, the regular coders' perspective, not like Salesforce kinds of projects or data science related projects. I'm talking basic core project development. Let's say front-end based, back-end based, Python, .NET, Java, Spring, like regardless of anything. So the second important point to understand is any functional project can be developed in any technology. Okay, that means you can choose any project and code it in any technology. It's up to you. So there is no limitations like that. Okay, and the third thing, which we have already summarized a couple of days ago, key, choose the technology, okay, which is on the top. We are saying in line to what company applies, but choose a technology, okay, which is more closer to what IT is working upon. Okay, that means in the IT, dekho, projects do not just happen simple with core Java, or now servlet JSP is also like very old kind of projects will be there in plain servlet JSPs, or even with basic HTML and all those JavaScript. That is basic. Okay, but for projects, frameworks are required. So if you can have a project in some framework technology, that will carry better value compared to just a plain project. Don't develop a project in Swing and core Java and say that's my project, because in real time, yes, web applications is the time, right? It's all web applications hosted via internet, and anybody can access it from anywhere. These are the general nature of projects which is running on in the world. So that is the third thing. Choose the technology closer to framework. For example, front-end people, just some examples, okay? Angular, React, these are some basic things. Backend people, like if you're in the Java stream, Spring, Springboot, okay, Hibernate, these are some of the popular frameworks available in the market. Like for different programming languages, they might have different stuff. Like Python people, you figure out, .NET guys, you figure out. But try to have this kind of a thing while you are making the choice. Okay. Now comes banana kaise project. How exactly I should do it? Okay. Here go. First of all, project development is a step-by-step activity. Okay. Step number one, how to build a project. Let's put that as a side heading. These are the top related some pointers, but how to really build a project. Okay. Dekho, almost every project can be categorized into a domain. So you need to have domain knowledge. Okay, how exactly that domain operates. Like domain is nothing but, let's say, e-commerce domain. Like, you know how a general e-commerce system is, because let's say n number of websites, but they are all of e-commerce. So a general high level idea is there. Basically, this kind of functionality will be there. You choose banking. So many banking projects are there. But on a high level, you can understand what exactly is a bank. So that domain basically talks about ki in general, there might be thousands of applications belonging in that domain, but there will be something definitely common in terms of functionality across all these applications. Okay, so that is what domain is, the root, and it is common, and there might be thousands and thousands of applications. They all will have that same common nature. So whichever project you choose, you need to have some knowledge about that domain, what exactly it is. Is it clear, guys? Domain, you guys are aware what exactly a domain? Banking domain, healthcare domain, insurance domain, right? E-commerce domain, okay? Travel related domain, food industry related domain. These are categories. Inside many applications, many websites, a lot of people will be there. Okay? Sudha, Umid and all. Okay, Kishan. Yeah, thanks for confirming. So we need to have knowledge about the domain. Okay, ठीक है चलो, somehow let's say we acquired this knowledge somehow, whatever we do today, we will speak about how you can get that also. But let's say you acquired knowledge about the domain. Okay, and then immediately देखो, once you have the domain knowledge, that actually means you can understand at a high level what functionality is there in that project. For example, Lilith, right? If it is, let's say, a banking domain project, basically banking domain, there has to be a bank account. So there will be an account balance. There will be some login credentials for that user. Phone number will be registered. Next, using this, he can transfer money to another bank. NEFT kind of transactions based upon country. Now he can transfer money, he can receive money, he can open a fixed deposit. Nothing but these are just functionalities. So if you know how a domain works, you can definitely know, okay, what functionality it includes. Okay. So when you get in for interview and it is about, hey, explain your project. So initially you need to explain your project at a high level, what functionality your full project is about. Okay. So this itself is going to be the first step. Okay, tell us about the full project, okay, what functionality it is, and then you have to explain your full nature of the project. So that is where domain and functional knowledge is the first step, which we have to acquire. Okay, now it just comes down to a question: how do you convert this functional knowledge into real-time code and run it in the world? That is where the technical team comes in. So functionality to samajh gaya, okay, we want this. Now comes the question, how do we really code this? So our first step will also be, first we choose the domain, we get the domain knowledge, that will tell us about functionality. Our next stage is how to code this functionality. Always, right? Now how do you code it? Okay. First step is always, dekho guys, whenever building any application, it always begins with design that application. These things in theory, in your college also, you might have understood requirement gathering phase, designing phase, and then coding and testing. But you need to really understand what exactly designing that application means. Okay? In the current times, there are a lot of concepts going around microservice architecture. This is the core design of a project. Okay, my entire project is implemented in microservice architecture. Okay, or somebody says my project is in SOA architecture. Like, it's nothing but that's the core design of this entire system. Somebody says my project is still in Monolit. Now, point is, these are different ways of actually designing a system. Okay, nowadays pretty common and popular one, and like not just nowadays, since many few years now, it's been quite some time, microservices are something really common in the industry, and many projects are starting with microservices. Okay, so microservices, and then there are some concepts of monolith also taken in that, and people are working with these concepts, which simply says this: now when you are going to do your self project development, your first step will be identify the domain. We will do that together, how to identify. But now let's say once you have identified it, let's assume that you have identified and you know the functionality, okay, what you need to even build. Then automatically comes, okay, I want a design for this. And we are saying currently trending is microservice. So if you're a backend developer, I would suggest go ahead with microservice architecture. Okay. And how exactly is microservice architecture? Let's just simply say, it doesn't matter, guys, in your college or your training, wherever you're doing, what they are doing. Okay. That's basic, which gives you the input how to really build the systems. Okay. But just understand, maybe you're doing coding in one single project, code by code, class by class, method by method. You're making all the modifications in one project. Okay, one project is like in your IDE, you created a folder. Inside that, you have written some Java code or whatever programming code, executing it. So you wrote some logic under one project, and then you are executing that. So this is how, if the entire functionality is implemented generally under this one project space, that actually says it's a kind of a monolith application. Monolith is like it runs in one process itself. Don't get into details of this, what this, that. Okay, all the theory you can find it on YouTube. But generally, एक process start hota hai, in that the full application is there, and that's how it is. Okay. Now, what microservice says is, don't code everything together. So you should, this should be your discipline now. When you are designing your system, even for a self project, you should not put only one project with all functional code, because that's not how it is happening since past few days across the industry. The practices are to break down the big service into smaller pieces, and each smaller piece of this application. So we have to build one bigger application, which is going to be your project. But that bigger application code, you don't write it under one project. Rather, you break it down into smaller pieces. And in microservices, these smaller pieces, they have just named them as services. Break down the bigger project code into smaller services. Okay. And it's like smaller multiple services. So don't have one, have multiple smaller multiple services. So for example, if you're writing the entire code of the project, like entire code in one project, rather than doing that, based upon the need of the application, break it down so that you will have something called as, let's say, service 1, service 2, service 3, nothing but 3 projects. It can be even more, service 4, service 5. You have to break down your full project. So don't code everything under one project. So for example, okay, if let's say this is your IDE where you're doing some project development. In the IT industry, we do the project development in some IDEs, right? Like Eclipse, STS, IntelliJ, or whatever your, I even have this VB, okay? Like, okay, this VS Code editor, right? I'm using it. I forgot the name because I don't use it that frequently. Okay. So let's say even if this is happening, okay, you have these things with you in your code application, but it ultimately boils down to this, guys. Okay? Rather than coding everything under one project, have multiple separate projects, and every project is independent from one another. So they all together make one project. So let's say this is service 1, service 2, service 3, service 4, service 5, whatever, but everything together makes your entire application. But your application, you break it down into separate individual projects, and they all have their own independent functionality. So that is the first thing which you have to do while building the system. Don't code entire project under one folder. Rather, have that entire application broken down into sub projects, or in terms of microservices, we can say sub services, into multiple services. And for example's sake, we are saying, okay, let's say service 1 to service 5. So don't code everything under one. Break it down into smaller services. Is this clear point? Guys, is this clear? एक साथ कोड नहीं करो, छोटा छोटा करना है. How to do it, we will look at that. Okay, fine. Chalo, nice, thanks for confirming. Now देखो, the point is, how do you break it down into smaller service? This is all coming as part of design, and microservice design, to be more precise. Okay. देखो, अभी point is, How do you break down the services? Natural outcome is size will automatically be smaller than the earlier big project. But when you are splitting your services, you don't really look at size. Okay, thoda sa understand this carefully. Microservice maybe the size can be less, the size can be more, but your approach for classifying, okay, approach for categorizing or approach for cutting a service is related functionality you group together. Your approach should be related functionality you group together. So all the login related thing you can group together and say login service. All the order processing related thing you group together. Okay. So for example, in the banking system, for fixed deposit processing, you create a new service. For transaction processing, you create a new service. And like this, if any other features are coming, you create more independent services. Okay. So nothing but full project, a lot of functionalities are there. Depending upon the nature of your functionality, whichever are related, common functionalities, you put that common code in one project, and that is how you group the services. So sometimes it might be small, sometimes it might be big, but it is not based upon size. Okay, break down the bigger project into okay, smaller multiple services, okay, based on their related functionality. मतलब छोटा करना है. I'm just trying to give you the base context here to understand how exactly we just organize it. So related functionalities we have to put in together. Okay. Now, let's say as a beginner, we don't know all these things, let's say from college, how to make these decisions. What is this domain? What are the functionalities? How many services we should have? We are not aware of that. But once now I plant these thoughts in your mind, you have to further think more on top of this in this line. And next coming tomorrow or this week, you need to then evolve this and actually build your maybe first project, which is meeting this kind of a design. You might be right, you might be wrong. But when you say it is self-project, you just try to be as right as you can. You don't need to be perfect. Please understand, there is no need to be perfect. It's a self-project. You're doing this for your own self by learning from internet, by discussions from friends, from multiple sources, and you're trying to develop it the best that you can. So even if it is a bit here and there, that is also still fine. You need not know the perfect answer. Okay. So, but yes, we need to break it down into like independent, manageable, smaller pieces. Okay, fine. So now we will look at the design part. And the third thing is, guys, projects will always have a database. Choose a SQL database, any kind of SQL database, PostgreSQL, MySQL, Oracle, whichever you can work with. So you should have a SQL database because your functionality should revolve around this database. Inserting, manipulating, this, that, everything around revolve this. So you should definitely have this kind of thing in your project. So we are talking about what all are important things in the project. So we need to have multiple services. You need to have functional knowledge about the project. You need to have a proper database in your project. Okay. And now the next thing, guys, I would highly recommend you to include a caching service. Nothing but something like Redis. Include a caching service, something like Redis, for some speed up use case. Let's say even though you right now are not able to collect, maybe some of you might be able to already see, oh, caching service Redis, I've heard this, I can build this. But let's say even if you're listening these words for the first time, but this is where you learn, okay, I need to explore something like caching service Redis. Rest, you ask this to ChatGPT, why to use Redis, what is the purpose of caching service, automatically it will start telling you. You need to work the further questions which are coming in your mind with internet. Solution is going to come out. Now basically we just need this. Okay, simple. It's very simple. You need to have domain knowledge where you understand what the functionality is. Next, you need to understand how to design this system. Okay, Next, you need to have the right database knowledge so that you can work with it. And next, yes, there has to be some caching. And then comes, okay, maybe the last final step, okay, some piece of code. There go now. Full functionality might be 50, but at least 3 to 4 functionality, you need to literally code, actually code it. 3 to 4 functionalities you should literally code, so that when you go in for interview, you can speak about, hey, what did you do in the self project? So you can explain them the functionality, you can explain them the architecture, you can explain them the database design, you can explain them where and how you use Redis, and you actually coded 2 to 3 functionalities also. मतलब पूरा का पूरा combination it becomes very valuable stuff. This itself will take 15 minutes during your interview, and it will create a very positive impact if you actually do this thing. मतलब just listening, thinking is not going to add that much value. But when you actually try to code it in your laptops, you will make mistakes, errors will come. Then you will go to internet, how to solve these errors. You will read something, you will change something, it will still not work. You will again go back to internet, now what, now what? And you're thinking in parallel. That evolves you. Okay? So matlab, once this all thing, build actual 3 to 4 functionalities. Now, what is this functionality? How to build? We will talk about that. But at least the basic level, we need to do this thing. And then you can say in an interview also confidently, yes, I did this self-project. And you can answer it very nicely. You can just explain whatever you did. And that is where actually doing it is required, not just compromising or understanding from somewhere. You need to build it. And that will evolve your thinking. Guys, is this clear? Banana padega. So it's not just a learning hack. You have to put the efforts, then only you will get it. Okay? Poonam, Abhinash, and anybody can do it. Okay? Anybody can do it. Okay? Chalo? Abhinash, Arshal, Saklan. Nice. Kishore, Ummeed and all. Chalo, let's focus back. Abhi dekhte karte kaise. Okay? You are born in a very beautiful time where AI is available. Before that, it would have been really quite hard to really build all these things by your own self. But right now you have the power of AI. Okay. Now, the simplest AI tool available for all, which actually the world became crazy about it, was simply the launch of ChatGPT. And the entire world became like ChatGPT. It's very powerful. Okay. Now, what is happening, guys? In ChatGPT, lot of source code is also loaded. Okay, lot of project source code is loaded, lot of technical documentation is loaded, functional understanding is loaded, domain knowledge is loaded. So more than anybody, ChatGPT can help you write whatever code you want of whatever requirements. Actually, it will give you everything if you extract that information. Okay. Now, let's say, guys, first thing, you have to develop this maturity. Use ChatGPT as a friend, as a mentor. Any doubt you get, any question is coming to your mind, okay, I don't know how to do this. Go to ChatGPT. Imagine there is a person sitting on the other side, at least psychologically. Imagine that your college favorite teacher is sitting on the other side and it's just a WhatsApp chat for you. And just talk as if you're talking to a person on the other side. He says, try it like this. And then you say, hey, but I tried it. It's not really working. Can you suggest me some? Talk to it like a human being. It's a conversation based, not a query based system. It's not like the way Google was. It's chat. It understands what you're saying. It tells back. You can have a simple conversation, right? Everybody knows this. It's a simple conversation tool, right? Anshul, Naveen. There are still people, they'll use it like a querying system. Ke point bol denge, they will say. Okay, for example, let's just see a quick short demonstration of this. Okay. Like, you need to use these things properly, guys. I think already everybody might be aware of it. It is way too basic, but let me just show it. If there is somebody who might not have used it so far like this, you have to think that your favorite college teacher is sitting on the other side of this chat GPT and responding. Next time onwards, if you get any question, you should not go to any other human being, because knowledge of this system is far more than any human being can ever acquire in his lifetime. Not possible. Yeah, human being can give directions here and there, arrange things in a proper flow. But if it's just about questions and answers, problems and solutions, this is the ultimate place because it knows a lot. And don't even try to compete or challenge with it, right? Accept it. It's amazing revolution. Okay. Now simply, okay, hi. Just imagine there is a person sitting on the other side. Use it like a conversation tool. It's not a querying system. It's intelligence on the other side. Hello, how can I assist you? I am having a great day. What about you? Okay, he's saying, as an AI, I don't have a feeling in the same way as human, but I am here already to assist you. Any questions or topics like to discuss? Okay, what can I help you with? ठीक है? तो बोल रहा है कि भाई ह्यूमन जैसे है, क्वेश्चन पूछो, आई विल गिव यू प्रॉपर आंसर्स. ओके, ठीक है, व्हाट कैन आई हेल्प यू विद? I am looking to develop a Java based project. Can you help me in getting domain knowledge and design inputs and guide me on how to build the project? Okay, as if there is a person sitting on the other side, you talk to it. Of course, he can help me. Of course, developing a Java project is an exciting thing to get started. You need to first, देखो बोलना शुरू कर दिया. He started giving those things which we were right now discussing. If you just ask it, okay, to get started, you'll need to first determine the domain or the topic of your project. Okay, do you have any specific interest or areas you would like to explore? It's now talking back to you. Do you have any specific interest or areas you would like to explore? This could be anything. Now he's guiding you. क्या करना है भाई? Mobile development, web development, data analysis, game development, or any other area where Java can be applied. Okay, once you have clear idea about the domain, we can discuss the design and guide you through the process of building the project. Feel free to share your interest and specific ideas you have in mind so we can proceed from here. It's intelligence talking to you. He tell me what do you want, I can give you solutions accordingly. It's not a querying system, it's a thought processing system. You give your thoughts, it says, okay, it says what you want to do. Okay, you can say, you can now ask a question. I am aware of both e-commerce and banking system. Okay, but I am not sure which one to use. Can you suggest for my self project development which one would be good if I have it in resume and go for interview? Just talking. Let's see क्या बोलता है. Now he's trying to give you a comparison. Okay, both are good. Okay, and it has its own advantages in terms of resume, appeal, and this thing. Let's break down. Now he's comparing for you. E-commerce का क्या value रहेगा, banking system का what is going to be there, in resume how it adds value, in interview panel how it has. Ultimate, the choice of this depends upon your interest, blah blah blah. If you're still unaware, you might want to research job listing. Now ideas also it's giving. You might want to research job listing in your desired field or speak with professionals in the industry to gauge which domain. Now the point is you can go to now, let's say Naukri, and see there okay, which kind of jobs, like which domain related jobs are more. Search there on Naukri, okay, keyword e-commerce or banking. वहां से भी कुछ input आएगा, and then you can come here and say, hey, e-commerce I want to go ahead with, or banking I want to go ahead with. And then you can further start talking to me. Okay, you can further say, okay, but can you suggest one of this? Okay, which one would it be? That's it. It picked one for you as well. Now it's explaining you why it picked that. Why all this information is coming? Because it's all feeded from internet. It chose a project for you. By focusing on developing an e-commerce project, you will not only enhance your resume, but also gain valuable experience. And then it is guiding why an e-commerce project is more relevant for you, technical challenges wise, career opportunities wise, interview preparation wise. Guys, do you need anything else? If there is a question in your mind, and if you can think and communicate with this, it is a friend, it is a mentor, it is a coach, it is a solution for all the doubts which you have right now. You need to know how to communicate with it. Okay, you need to know how to smartly communicate with it. Yes, it might have a bit here, a bit there. Wahan pe you bridge up with your intelligence. You are human being, you are having your own intelligence. Ask the right questions, use it like a help. Yes, it might not be a master solution for everything, but it will clarify almost all of your doubts. If you're not able to get it, that means you are not digging the answers properly. The problem could be in you. You're not asking the right questions. You're not giving the right context to it. So it is not able to process. It's a machine. It cannot read your mind. It reads what you type. If you have not typed proper, it doesn't then respond to you properly. It tries to help you. Pele, he did not pick up one of the domain. It said, Ki, why it will be good. Just showed the comparison, said, talk to experts, look at the job listing. It gave you your choice, but you insisted, no, you tell me, then it is helping. So it is trying to make the best thing it can do. Guys, are you getting it? Use AI as a friend, as a mentor, as a coach. It will guide you for what you should do. And know that it has a lot of data, so it is making decisions on that data. Start changing the conversations that you have. All your problems will be addressed. Okay? Now the thing is, I've done something already with ChatGPT, some exploration of, let's say, one domain, one project. I'll just show it to you. Let's scroll through it together. And like that, tomorrow, you do that for whatever domain you like. Maza aayega. Okay? Now, simple. It's just conversation. There is nothing like great prompts and all that required. You type. You try to give it clarity the best you can. It will respond you the way it can. Okay? Yes, there is prompt engineering and all those things, but start with something. Start talking to it. You are intelligent. If you have question, put it to it. It will give you the proper answer. Okay. Now let's have a look at here quick. Okay. Nice. Now they go. Let's say you choose any one domain which you like. Already you might be knowing some functionality and all those things. Okay. Pick a domain of your choice. Any domain is fine. This website is a self-project. Any domain is fine. It is a self-project. I go. How do you add a project in your resume? Let's do some brainstorming. How do we add it? Right? We add a project description. We add some roles and responsibilities. This is some bullet points, what this project is about, and some roles and responsibilities. Ideally, we just put this. So start from that place. Matlab, common sense apply karo. Okay, what to ask and all. Ask, okay, finally, I will be adding it in my resume. So let's reverse track from that place. Okay, how to add a project in my resume of so-and-so domain. So accordingly, whatever was coming to the mind, I just put it into words and gave it to ChatGPT. You can do it in a number of manners, but yeah, this is one of the way of doing it. Okay, write a project description and responsibilities to be included in resume as fresher working on, let's say, health insurance domain. Some example. Next, already in resume building phase, we said this. Include major keywords specified by majority of HRs in the field for JD. Include action verbs and metrics driven data. We covered all this in the day 2. Next, make it very appealing for HR to hire me. Next, include the related skills of Springboot and microservices. Thoda sa guidance I am putting it because I know, okay, yeah, these are something trending in the market. Okay, and working, let's say, on agile environment. Because in the project, real world project, let's say, these things are common. So I just added this. How will you know these things are common? Once you study 10 JDs, once you study roadmap, once you study ChatGPT tool set, you will find, okay, what are the popular ones? You will ask that here. So dekho, you have to put your research and then you have to use it so that it will give you more proper output. Now, all of a sudden, it started explaining it. Resume mein project description bhai aise laga dena, put it like this, and responsibilities wise put it like this. It even gave achievement lagana hai, put some key achievement. What skills you want? guided ki even put these kind of skills? And maybe some more pointers ki why you are the right candidate for the job. It did all of this by itself. I'm not saying copy paste this as it is, but this will give you ideas ki what you should write, how you should write. Don't copy paste this stuff straight away. Convert it into your understanding, which you can explain it during interview. It might have some very technical vocabulary, but convert it into your own words, the way you will write it. So it is easy to, because when you give it to the HR or interviewer, they should not feel it is a technically coming from these kind of tools. Write things in your own words, so it is easy for you to explain, easy for them to understand. But the ideas are already given by this guy, how to include a health insurance domain, and you don't even know what that project is, but it is telling you how exactly to do that. Okay, and then it talks a lot about things here. Cutting edge, ye kar rahe, wo kar rahe. I played a role in the building the architecture of it, and you're a self-project person. You only have to do the architecture. You would only have to design, and you would have to implement it. That's the power. You can say, I architected the project. The word might look big, but if only you are there in the project, you have to do that. But yeah, it shows confidence, right? Now, furthermore, it added one nice point. Okay, implemented some system that optimized claim processing and minimized turnaround time. I mean, if you know some health insurance related domain, you will know people put claims and then usko process karna hota hai, then approvals and rejection, something will be there, logic will be there behind the screen. But yes, claim processing is one important functionality of a healthcare insurance. Even if you were not knowing, after reading this, you will understand, oh, the claim processing is something like this. Whatever domain you write, it will give you some output. Pick things from that. Start thinking more logical. Everybody of you might get different answers. Start digging it more. Talk to it like a conversation from the other end. Okay. Now, the next thing, let's say claim processing. You're not aware of what that is. Okay. So I just added a next question. Elaborate more domain knowledge about health insurance. Okay. Because here I just got how do I put it in project, but I want to have more domain knowledge. So ask it. Elaborate more domain knowledge about health insurance and step-by-step explain with example how claim processing works. Because functionality we need to understand, so we can take this claim as an example. Right now, whatever is your domain, some functionality will be shared by ChatGPT. Ask more things about it. So accordingly, it started giving me this. Okay, some overview about health insurance. Let's say if ChatGPT answer is not clear, you can take this health insurance domain, put it on Google. You will find 3-4 blogs. Read those blogs. You will get that understanding. Go to YouTube. Say health insurance summary in 5 minutes. You will find many videos there. Watch some videos. You will get the knowledge. Nobody is stopping you from getting the knowledge. It's you who are not able to consume it because you are not thinking right. You can do anything that you want in the current times. Okay, fine. So I said domain knowledge jama karna hai. And guys, please understand, nobody else is going to do this for you. If somebody else would have done, already job bhi mil jata tha, right? You have to do your work. Please realize that. People might guide you. I am here to guide you, give you a direction. But your work has to be done by you. So for that, you have to actually do the work, right? You have to actually do the work. All the members who do it, they will get results. Those who are still waiting, they will still be waiting. Answers are all there. Ideas are all there. Techniques are all there. Implementation is the name of the game, and you are the implementer. So, karna padega. Okay, fine. And then it explained further. Okay, claim processing in health insurance. I said, explain me how this works with example. It started explaining that. Okay, initially, some initiation process will happen where user is submitting the claim, then verify that and like data verification, and then there is one more system required, adjudication. The system uses predefined rules and algorithms to determine the eligibility of the claim based on the policy term and medical necessity. Now, point is, if you do some study about these things, you can talk all this as a domain knowledge in your interview. Okay, I worked on healthcare domain, and there we were working on some adjudication process, which is, put it in your own words. Interviewer also will get, oh, so this guy actually has knowledge about all this thing. Maybe they are not aware, the interviewer, about these terminologies. So in your conversation, when you explain, you actually sound knowledgeable. Thoda mehnat karonge, you can present this very nicely. And after that, okay, so first initiation happens, then verification and some process is happening. Okay, comparing the verification is like, okay, validate the data and compare it against the rules, built-in rules, whether the claim can be taken or not. Then pre-processing and documentation. So then it is even explaining how that works. Then claim assessment will be there, and then approval rejection will be there, and then payment processing will be there. Finally, you just update your system once everything is done properly, and that's it. And further, it gave some example also. Guys, if you do some study on this, even for 1 hour, you will understand a claim processing system. You will understand the terminologies which they are using, and you can just simply explain this to somebody in 10 minutes. And like this, you can learn any domain that you want, any functionality that you want. Ask it in a right way. Okay, explain me with some example. Explain me step by step how it works. By this way, we got to know something. अब इसको dig down करेंगे, go to some more blogs, read about that, convert your understanding, do some research from your side. You will know, okay, so I have health insurance ka basic domain knowledge, and I have a flow knowledge about how claim processing also works. Okay, fine. So approvals is happening, claim assessment will happen. What will happen as part of this? Okay, and the system calculates the eligible reimbursement amount. ये सारी चीजें भी समझने लगेगी. If you want to dig in something more specifically, you should again ask, okay, in claim assessment, you said cost evolution. Can you explain it with some numbers and more examples? Yeah, how exactly this logic is? It will elaborate more. The more you want to know, the more it will give you. Okay, that's how it is. You have to dig, you have to think, you have to ask, you will get it out. Okay, now I asked some amazing thing next. Ki, fine, functionally the bahut acha bol raha hai. I can explain this thing 10 minutes without even working on any healthcare project. I can go in interview and explain this for 10 minutes of time. You can do that. Do you understand? You are smart, technology is smart, mix the two together. What are you waiting for? Project nahi hai, arey banao na phir. Let's make it a project. It's all available there. Thinking is required. Out of the box thinking is required maybe, but these solutions are there for everybody in the world. We need to use it on a daily basis. Okay. Now further, I went there. Okay. Chalo. We said convert the functionality into technical. ChatGPT said technical पूछते हैं. Okay. I want to technically implement claim processing system using Springboot with microservices and MySQL. Next, you should know what to ask. That is where before we jumped here, we already explained you some process. Okay, first is get the domain knowledge and functionality. We saw it right now using ChatGPT, how you can get the domain knowledge functionality. You can dig more. If it is not giving clarity, go to Google, go to YouTube, watch somebody explaining, consolidate your knowledge, think, make a sense in your mind. Okay, so this is how claim processing is working. You will do all that. Guys, 2-3 दिन के अंदर, within 2 to 3 days, you will know what your project is. Within 2 to 3 days, lot of time, 2 to 3 days. If project aa jayega in the resume, you can even explain it to people. Now let's do some digging. Okay, we want to design it technically. Okay, like you are a fresher. ChatGPT is having huge experience of so many experts. Usko sab pata hai. You don't know it. He knows it. He knows what is the right way to code, what is the wrong way to code. It will suggest you. It will suggest you the design best practices. Use it as a friend, as your partner to solve any problem of your life. It will give you the solutions. Thoda sa evolve to use these tools properly on a day-to-day basis. Now, I simply asked it a question. Okay, I want a technical implementation of claim processing system. Okay, give me a high-level design. How many services? Because yes, we understood microservices are there. So I asked it a question. Give me high-level design. How many services would be there? And what will be their role in end-to-end claim processing? So I gave you the context. Not everything should be together. Break it down into services. I asked it, give me a design. How many services are there? Further, also write the main classes and interface, API design and DB design to make the claim processing work end to end. if you're doing some trainings somewhere, some course you would have taken, you already know these terminologies: API design, database design, writing classes, writing interfaces. Basic mein same hota hai, right? You just need to convert your knowledge into practical project. I asked it. Now ChatGPT is like, okay, so ye banda abhi too much kar raha hai. It started giving us more value. You don't need to know, but it is telling you. You don't have a knowledge whether it's right or not, but it is guiding you on all that. From nothing, within 30 minutes, you will become so much knowledgeable. This was never possible. It was never that easy. It was possible, but it needed more research on Google and findings and searching. Now it is available at a question tip, all processed and given you the solutions. It's amazing time. Pehle ye tha, but it would have been taken 2 to 3 days. Now it can be done in 2 to 3 hours. That's the advantage. Okay, fine. It started telling, okay, high level karna hai, fine. First, gateway service banana padega. Let's put a gateway service. This service acts like an entry point for external systems, okay, to reach to your microservices. So fine, gateway service ek develop karo, he's saying. That means in your IDE, you need to put one project which is a gateway service. Fine, there is some class also. What should be the name of the class? Okay, API design related also, he is guiding us something. Next, he says policy management service ek bana lena, whose work is to manage the policy, and this is going to be the main class of that. Next, claim submission service. Next, claim processing service. Next, payment service. Next, reporting service. That's it. Your architecture is ready. You can simply walk in for interview and say, my project had like, okay, microservice architecture with 6 microservices. And those services were read the names, understand the roles, why every service is required. And all these services are nothing but they are independent projects in your IDE when you are coding. Now, point is, yes, now we need to understand each of the service. Yes, get into deeper. Ask ChatGPT again, explain policy management service with full details. What exactly it does, what kind of logic it will have. Now you dig into the way you want. But I asked it a different question. Okay, pehla to ye sab ho gaya. And then it is saying main classes and interfaces. 1, 2, 3. It's naming the classes interfaces. It is helping you with the database design, how the table should be, what kind of relationships it should have, and all of that. Okay, there has to be 2 tables in policy database. One policy, one member with one-to-many mapping. Claim database should have 2. Payment should have 1. Report should have claim report, and like this. So it is all telling how exactly the mapping should be across these databases that you have. Next, interfaces. What methods should be expected? Now, point is, even though as a beginner, you're not having this knowledge, but after reading, some clarity will start coming. This is how you educate yourself. And then maybe you read it, understand it multiple times, you get so much out of this. Okay. Now, the next question. Explain in details, flow, how these APIs of services can, okay, services be invoked end to end throughout the functional claim processing. Nothing but it told me so many methods, so much of logic. I said, okay, coding wise, how this entire flow will be there, which method ke baad, which method will be called, what all it is going to do. And now it is explaining everything. Now this is nothing but a complete technical implementation of that service layout. That's where we are getting here. The same stuff. ChatGPT is helping us to build it. How many services you want? What should be the database layer? Okay. Next, code pieces of functionality. So we are taking one major functionality, claim processing, which is a pretty big in itself. Like this, you can pick whatever other functionality you want. Okay. Now let's check it out. Now it explains. Okay, the user is going to call this API /claim/submit. That is where basic your training is going to be required. You should understand what is the REST, how the endpoints will be called, what is this post, how the API is invoked. This is all coming as part of your basic programming knowledge. Then only you can jump in project. So yesterday, when we did the roadmap planning, when we did this roadmap planning here, This is how we started, right? When we did this roadmap planning, we started with first we will learn a bit core. Where is our roadmap? Here. First we said we will spend time in learning core. Then we will get to some frameworks. While you're learning this, you will understand how the APIs are, how the methods and all. Then you will become ready to work on the projects. Everything is sequential. Okay, directly you cannot give 10th class exam. You need to give some prior exams. Even though you are smart, maybe from 7th you can give 10th, but not from first you cannot give 10th exam. You have to cross some intermediate layers. You might be very smart, but still their steps are there to reach to your place. Okay, fine. Now it just guided us for even that. Okay, this API will be called, flow it is explaining theoretically how it is going to work. Okay, next claim verification. After that, this API is called, what is happening there? End to end, it is connecting. End to end. Pura ka pura, it's writing with examples how the full flow will be. If you explain this in an interview, that itself is so much of value. And you're just learning it on the fly. You don't need anybody to come and tell you. You yourself are getting this information. And then I further went, okay, write me a fully ready code of claim submission controller and this service for some below use case. It said this, right? API invokes. So here it asks this. Here it said this. User submitting a claim is going to do like this. Copy paste kiya isko, and I said, write me the full code of this. You don't have to even think. You just have to be logical. Write me a full ready code for this controller and this service for the below use case. And I just copied that. And let's say, okay, below is the basic example. And then it started filling this up. It started writing the code. You don't even need to learn all these things now. You just need to understand OSS, URI, and then basic of like maybe a 2 hours, 4 hours of Udemy video of Springboot is enough for you to understand what these things are. 2 hours, 4 hours, you will be ready to understand this. And very shortly, you will be able to code this in your IDE. Guys, gone are the days where 6 months, 3 months are required. You can learn in days now. Things have speeded up that much. Smartly work on that. You can learn things quickly. Put it in your resume. Hunt the market properly. You can do all this stuff by your own self without any assistance. Sochna padega. Yes, thinking has to evolve. But start doing right now, you'll get it. So it started saying, okay, controller rahega, and in the controller have this method, and then in the service we will be having this kind of a method, process claim submission, where we will validate and then create, then generate some logic. If you're not clear on something, it's writing everything. Okay, in this validate, what kind of logic is going to be there? He says, for example, check if required fields are present, throw an exception, create claim entry, generate unique ID. If wherever you're not clear, you ask it again, it will give you the code sample also. It depends upon what you really want to get from this. And further, I started digging more. Okay, he started giving us comments back. I said, okay, assuming relevant fields for this request, please write end-to-end validation code and even throw some custom exceptions. Now, he gave no exceptions, no code. Basically, he gave only comments. I said, why code bhi kar le? It started writing the code also. Okay, this is a custom exception handler. In the service, you call validate claim data. In the validate claim data, how the request is going to be validated. It validated everything. And then finally, he is using this custom exceptions to really throw it out. Okay, and fine. If it is not matching, throw a new exception, and this is how the logic is built. And it is explaining everything in detail. Guys, are you really realizing anything that you want, you can code by your own self? Ask the functionality, ask it step by step how to code it. Ask it, I'm a beginner in Java Spring Boot. Give me a step-by-step approach of how to build this functionality. It will start telling you that first do this, then do this, then do this. Do a course on Udemy or YouTube about basics of Spring Boot, and then from there start writing your own project and use this knowledge and start building your own project. And this kya hoga? Project, एक ही project रखना है यार for interview cracking. You can just have it within next 3 days. And then parallelly work on the project, keep developing functionality, and then start attending interviews also. You don't need to wait. Expert level knowledge will take some time. Parallelly, you are learning anyways, right? Okay, Ria, Kishore, and all the members. Nice, nice, nice. Abhi, right from tomorrow, we need to work towards this. Okay, all the members? Clear? Simple है चीज. Okay. Now let's say caching वाला use case था. We can add that caching use case here. Okay, let's say you don't know. Okay, I am not aware of caching. Okay, can you suggest one use case in this healthcare domain where caching can be used? Okay, I am planning to use Redis. Explain with example how caching will help. You don't know, but you know what you need to ask. Enter. Let's say now it started telling the advantages. कि कहाँ पे use होना है, how it is supposed to be used. Guys, what more is required? So much detailed example. You learn all this. You do some basic coding about it. Go to interview and then say that out. Okay, caching implement kiya in my hash service like this. Everything is so simple now. It just needs you to think and use yourself smartly. And it is just telling, okay, so it just gave us example. Now you can further ask in which service to do, what classes to use, what methods to use, and that is how beautiful life is. And guys, going forward, slowly and steadily, everybody is going to code using this itself. And people are already coding in the industry using these AI tools itself. So, but in order to get that information, you need to ask the right questions and importantly, understand what code it is giving. Because you cannot completely copy paste that code and assume it will work, and you cannot blame it if it is not working. It's not AI's fault, it is your fault. Okay, you did not understand what code it gave and directly you take it to production. That's a big no-no. So that is where you need to have the understanding knowledge of how to use this technology, what code it is giving, what is meaningful and what's not. Okay, okay. So guys, task for tomorrow is find your domain, find your project, describe using at GPT, how to put it into your resume and convert it into technical and start digging. In a matter of few days and weeks, you will be getting there. But yes, plan it as part of your roadmap wherever that date comes. Okay. So Shan, Aman, self-project banana itna easy tha, and you were like, I don't have a project, I don't have a project. You can have your own project, man. It's that simple. Okay, fine. Effort will be required, some hard work will be required. Okay. Okay, everybody. Nice, nice, nice. Good stuff. Okay. Now we will start with another topic. Let's take a quick 1 minute break. 2 minutes break. Le lete. 9:07. I'm here only, not turning off the camera. Let's drink some water, everybody. Now we want to go to the second stage. Okay, this project, how is it developed in the IT industry in a process? Okay. Process wise, ye project, how it is developed. And that you start implementing it when you are building the system. Maza aega. Okay, so just chalo, come back in 2 minutes, guys. 9:07, we will start back. Important discussions, guys. That is where this 5 days will be the turning point of your job hunting journey. If you really apply this, if you don't apply, to fir to wahi chalte rahega, right? It's up to that. Chalo, see you in 2 minutes, guys. Drink some water, move away from your place. Okay, everybody. 907. Are you guys back again? Okay, Krishna, Nagmani, Aman. Okay, nice. Arnav, Samir, chalo, Rutuja, everybody, let's gear up for the next half of the session. Okay, it's going to be really valuable. Lot of new topics will be coming. So all the members, yes, who are available today, please mark your attendance so that I will give you this recording. And yes, it will be a bit like maybe somewhat fast paced for you right now. But yes, watch the recording again and understand the full process. I will try to keep it as simple and to the point as possible. Okay, chalo guys, everybody. सीधे conclusions पे बात करते चलते and let's see how the IT industry works for implementing this project into the life. Okay, chalo guys, let's get going team. Okay, first of all, since many years now, IT industry is following a process for software development which is called as agile. Okay, how many of you have heard about agile? Thumbs up. Not heard about agile? Thumbs down. Okay, how many of you know about agile versus not know about agile? Yeah, it's very common. It came like 20 years ago. In the year 2000 it came. Okay, but since recent times people are using it. Okay, there are few downs, but there are, I think, majority ups. Very good. There are few downs. Okay, it's okay, no problem. That's what is learning about, right? We don't know things, then we learn, and then we know things. That is the difference between yes or no, right? Okay, fine, chalo, let's understand. Fine. So people are using in the IT industry agile approach for software development. Agile is a way of working. How do you work in the company for developing a software? That's what it's a way of working. Okay. Now there are multiple ways by which agile can be implemented. Popular one are Scrum. There is another one called as Kanban. There is another one called as Scrumban. Multiple ways are there of agile implementation, but basically this is how. Okay, how will you work on day-to-day basis in IT project development? This is what is defined by agile. Okay, we will discuss about Scrum because yes, majority of the project, and it is pretty basic foundation for a lot of other understanding of agile world. So we want to get into Scrum related. Okay, the very basic definition of agile says time box based iterative approach of software development. Okay, what this actually means. Let's open up a paintbrush. Now let's say this health insurance project which we spoke about, if it takes 1 year to develop that entire project. Okay, let's say this is today's date and this is 1 year from now. If it takes 1 year for developing this entire project fully, claim processing is one logic. It will have a lot of other things. It will easily take like a couple of years. Okay, now what agile says is, we will not get into comparisons, water spiral, agile, best. वो सब internet पे मिल जाता है. You can just get it out. ठीक है. Now, but what agile basically says is, कि don't develop entire project for 1 year and then say कि we are done with the project. Agile says work incrementally, piece by piece. Develop the full software piece by piece. That is what agile says. Okay, and it tries to split it based upon time. Okay, for example, agile will say, yes, fully you need 1 year to complete the project. That is fully fine, but try to break it down into, let's say, first 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And now, as part of this 2 weeks, tell us how many functionalities you can actually develop. So full functionalities might take a lot of time. It might be 50 functionality, 100 functionalities. Agile says you really break it down into smaller pieces. Smaller pieces. Okay, let's have 2 weeks. And in this 2 weeks, you tell how many functionalities you want to take. And once you finalize that, then go ahead, okay, with proper design, develop, code, test, okay, maybe UAT, and then production. This all you do for those selected functionalities. Let's say you are saying we will develop 3 functionalities. So do this. As soon as this is done, okay, you can simply say to the customer, okay, we have finished 3 functionalities completely. It is now production ready. And now right from this point, we can deploy it in production. You don't have to wait. Deploy in prod. That's what is the power of Agile. Rather than developing whole project in one go, split it into smaller time frames. And in every time frame, work on some set of features, build it completely, deploy it in the production environment. Next, another 2-week cycle is going to come. As part of that, you keep repeating maybe some other functionality. Here you pick maybe 2 functionality. Okay. And as part of that, develop, design, develop, code, test, UAT, prod, this other piece also. And that is here. And by that way, incrementally, you are trying to build the software. So by the end of 1 year, the product is already running in production and making money also, rather than developing it for entire 1 year and then deploying it in production. This simple concept is what Agile says: break down the full process into smaller time frames, design, develop, test, deploy to production, and work on it incrementally. This is what is Agile way of working. Is it clear, team? This is core. फुल एक साथ नहीं करो, ब्रेक करो एंड उसमें कर लेते हैं. ओके, ठीक है, फाइन. There might be some terminologies. Okay, now very good. Now let's understand. Agile has given its own terminologies. Now main terminology here is this 2-week cycle. Okay guys, chalo, let's focus back here. This 2-week cycle, Agile says, let's use a term for it called as sprint. So this is what, let's say this is the current sprint. Next, this is the last sprint. Next, upcoming sprint. So this every 2-week cycle, people might call it like a sprint. That's it, just a terminology. So dekho, now point is, some of the projects, they might decide, okay, hey, we don't want 2 weeks sprint, let's have a 3-week sprint, let's have a 4-week sprint. So like that, but work in sprint. So generally people have this sprint concept even from 1 to 4 weeks of sprint. 1 to 4 weeks of sprint. 1 to 4 weeks. Sprint could be as small as 1 week also, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. 2 weeks is something which is very common across many projects, but it can have a varying duration. Okay. Now, the point is, there will be accordingly a lot of meetings which will be conducted in the IT industry in order to make this system work properly. Okay. Now, what are these meetings? First of all, there is going to be, just be aware, there is going to be something called as grooming or requirement clarifying meeting. There is going to be sprint planning meeting. There is going to be something like daily stand-up. There is going to be like sprint demo. There will be sprint retrospective. Okay. Yeah, these are the meetings. That's it. 5 meetings. How does it happen? How does it add value? First, for this 2 weeks, you need to know which features you are going to develop. For developing a feature, you should have clarity what that feature is. Where do you get that clarity is as part of this meeting. Here, requirements are discussed. As simple as that. Requirements will be discussed as part of grooming meeting or requirement meeting. Now, point is, you cannot develop a requirement without clarity. So first, that means before even the sprint happens, you need to already have your grooming requirement clarification. So as part of that, these 3 features will be clear for you for developing it. So grooming meeting should happen before your sprint starts. Grooming meeting should happen before your sprint starts. So that is another pointer here. Okay, happens before your sprint starts. Is this clear? Grooming is a meeting where requirements are discussed. If requirements are clear, then only you can implement it. So before the sprint starts, you should have grooming done. Okay, Kishan, Arsal, Nafisa, very good. So you should be aware of these meetings, because in interview you can use these things. This is how I was also working. Before I started my sprint, I used to discuss and clarify all the requirements to myself, then take it forward to the next level, right? कर सकते हो. I will put it together. How to put all these things in your self project. मजा आएगा. Okay, fine. Now let's move on to the next. Once the requirements are clarified, step number 1 is clarify the requirements. Once the requirements are clarified, your step number 2 is this simple. For this sprint, how many features you want to pick up? For this sprint, how many features you want to pick up? Now, IT is an organized industry. They expect ki on your day 1 itself, you tell us how much you are going to do. Not like ki we will do whatever we feel like. In the end, we will tell you कि भाई एक ही हुआ हमसे. It doesn't work like that. You have to tell it on your day 1 how much you are going to deliver. That sets an expectation. Not like we will develop for 2 weeks and then tell you some story. No, that doesn't work out. The basic model of working is on the day 1 of the sprint itself, you should finalize how many features you will be working as part of that sprint. Okay, so what are we expected to know? How many features you would work upon as part of a sprint. This is what happens in a meeting called as sprint planning meeting, which is generally conducted on the day 1 of sprint. So they decide, okay, in this sprint, how many tickets will be done? Now, if there are multiple team members, let's say you want to do a self project with your friends. If 3 of you people want to develop it together, you can take that project, break it up into multiple functionality, and first decide in these 2 weeks how many functionality we want to do. I would recommend, if possible, do it with your team members, college mates, or anybody. साथ में करोगे, easy understanding will happen. Now, point is, as part of this meeting, you even decide. As part of this meeting, you even decide who will work on what features. So if 3 people are there, you just split. Hey, you work on this, you work on this, you work on this. So you have work for your next 2 weeks. I will be working on this feature as part of this sprint. That is all happening as part of sprint planning meeting. Clearer is just logical, right? Clear, team? The first requirement should be clarified. Then you finalize how much work you are going to do. Okay. Okay. Nice. Now, the thing is, parallelly, let's understand the tools. What tools will be used through this process? Okay. IT industry mein, the requirements are written in the tool called as Jira. Tools. Jira is for writing requirements and end-to-end project tracking. Let's not get into too much details about this, but Jira is going to look something like this. You will log in. There will be something called as backlog. In the backlog, requirements will be given. These are all functional requirements. There will be a person called as product owner. He gives the functional requirements. All of that will be available. Then you put all this in a sprint. So if there are 100 of requirements, you need to say, hey, we will work on 3 features. So you move that into a separate thing called a sprint. Jira mein ye sab possible. And then you start the sprint, you start working on that, right? Then you can get that visibility. We say end-to-end project tracking also. So you get that visibility. Okay, so currently we are working on this as part of the internship that we are doing. Currently, the January batch, which we started last month, we are doing internship there. So this is what are the current tasks of the current sprint that we are working upon. So this is how you get organized. The requirements are specified in backlog, and then you choose it to the sprint, and then you work. This end-to-end tracking happens in Jira. So just be aware of that one. Jira is the tool which will be used for this initial two stuff. Okay, fine. You can say that you and your friends were doing it. You understood the requirements before the sprint. Next, you planned in this coming 2 weeks, how many features you are going to work. Okay. And now Agile mein ek third aa jata hai. Third thing comes up, daily stand-up meeting. Every day in the morning, before you even start your day at work, you come for a daily meeting, and there you simply decide कि as part of this, we are going to work upon this feature today. Or as a team member, you come in and you simply say, for this sprint, I am going to work for today. This is my task. That is simple. Daily stand-up meeting. So daily morning, you come to the team. This is how in the company it happens. 5-member team, everybody stands up. That is where it is called as a stand-up meeting. Everybody comes, stands up together in a collaborated area, and everybody gives their own update. Okay, today I am planning to work upon this task. Yesterday I was working upon that task. Now tomorrow I will be finishing this task and giving it for testers for testing. Next, if any support is required from other team member, you will say, hey, I'm not aware of this. Can you just guide me with this? Or if anybody other is blocked, you can help him out. That kind of a collaboration will happen every day in the morning. So that happens as part of daily stand-up meeting. Daily in the morning before you start. Okay, what is the plan for today? What you did yesterday? You have to tell that. Everybody individually will be getting a chance where you speak. Okay, next, are we on track to finish the work? You can say you and your friends were together doing everyday stand-up while you are building this self-project, where we used to discuss our progress. Yesterday this happened, today this happened, and you have to always see why this daily stand-up is required to make sure, guys, listen this carefully. Daily stand-up is required to make sure that in the 2 weeks of time, you deliver the 3 functionality which you promised. Because if you don't do daily stand-up, that work is not going to be completed. Agile understands that, and it says daily meet karo and make sure that your work is on track to finish by sprint. That is where daily stand-ups are there. So daily by daily progress. Last moment mein surprise, we don't want saying ki only 2 hua. IT is not allowing that to happen. So strictness is there. Okay, guys, clear with the third one? Simple. It's just a process of working. Okay, it's just a process of working. Guys, deadlines are taken very seriously in the IT industry. Okay, if deadlines are missed, you become very badly answerable. Sometimes if the client commitment is given and you cannot finish the work on time, you have to work over weekends, you have to work late, otherwise it will be a performance impact. And multiple times if you are getting performance impact, and if that becomes a habit, you will have a feedback session with your manager, and it could go in any consequences if you're not improving. These things are not taken lightly. It will be counted as a bad performance. You will not get a bonus. You will get a low salary, or you will even be removed from the company if your behavior is not improving. This is how everything is very serious game. It's not a joke. Work is serious work, right? This is how it is. Be aware. Be aware. IT industry is a smart industry of smart people. Okay, fine. So deadlines needs to be met. It all happens over a period of time. एक दो बार हुआ कुछ नहीं, but if it becomes a habit again and again and again, and you're not improving, then मामला फिर serious होते चलता. And definitely at the minimum, it will affect your bonus, hikes, and promotions. That is going to be definitely reflected. Worst case may it goes into, if performance is also really very bad, then it goes into the other area. Okay, fine. But all these are ways. Bad performance will not be entertained in the industry. Fine. So now let's say you start daily working. By this way, you work every single day in the project. Okay. Now comes some more tools. How are you working in projects? Just be aware. Okay. So while working in the project, we need to first use some IDE. Let's say Eclipse for Java is a popular IDE which many people uses. You can have some other IDEs also, VS Code, IntelliJ, and all that. Or STS is another version of Eclipse, some capability. But yes, IDE is required for code development. People don't use basic Notepad or whatever, Notepad++ or anything, right? IDEs are required, and this is something like an IDE looks like this. Okay, IDE looks like this. There are projects aligned. There is code available. You can do the coding basically here. Okay. Now the second thing. Now let's imagine if there are three people, you and your three friends working on one project. Even though let's say there are three different functionalities. Okay, just try to understand. On the day one of the sprint, you are saying we will work on three features. But in the production, these three features have to be combined together and deployed it in production in one go, right? It cannot be three different other code. The code should finally come together. I mean, let's say if there is some class called as a.java, for functionality one, you are developing method M1 in that. Some other developer is developing functionality 2. He wants to develop M2 method in that. Some other person wants to develop M3 method in that. Basically, what does this mean? Finally, in production, one a.java is going to be deployed. Yes or no? Which should have code for all the three methods. Right? It is not going to be three a.java with three different methods. No, the code should be combined together. Okay, this process is really a complex one, and there is a need of a tool here. Guys, do you understand the confusion and problem here? If there is one a.java, okay, let me repeat it again for somebody if you are not catching it. If there is one a.java, your three friends working on the same self project, there are three methods. Each one want to write its own method. M1, M2, M3. Now the question is, production में तो एक ही a.java है. Will you code on one person's machine, or will you give your file के पहले मैं code करता हूँ, then I will give you the file? No, it cannot be that messy, right? We need a tool. We need a tool, a easy, better way of working here. And that tool is nothing but a version control system. Git, GitHub, Bitbucket, these kind of tool will be there, right? And if you go to roadmap.sh or ChatGPT, it mentioned name of one of the tool because it is mandatory to work on that. It's not optional. You cannot skip working on that. Okay? So let's say, for example, this is another thing which you have to learn. You have to learn some like version control tool. Let's say like Git, GitHub, Bitbucket, SVN, okay, GitLab. All these are multiple variations, but they all basically do the same stuff. GitHub looks something like this. The way Jira looks like this, Bitbucket looks something like this. Okay, the code which is there in your IDE, it will all be maintained in cloud in Bitbucket. There will be something called as projects. Okay, and as part of the projects, let's say this is repository. In the repository, the code is going to be maintained. This is how, when you say you worked on a project like IT, so all you people for self-development also keep your code in here. Required. Then only IT industry mein professional feel is going to come, not your local machines. And you can find it all on YouTube on how to use all these things. So next step is you need to create a Bitbucket account or a GitHub account, create a private repository there. In that, put your project code, have your project code then exported, integrated with your IDE, and then code in your IDE. This is how work happens in the IT industry. When you're saying we did self-project, try to adhere to this kind of process. That will give value compared to a college person. And guys, that is the reason we look for people who have done internships, because they already know all this, how to do, what to do. We don't have to teach them from scratch again. So somebody who works on projects, he has this kind of knowledge. That is where they get more value compared to those who don't have it. And if you have not even worked on project, you don't even know what is Jira, what is Bitbucket, you can imagine where do you belong compared to other people, and then why IT is hiring them, preferences for them compared to the people not knowing it. Abhi, thoda bulb might be lightning inside, right? Because they know more. So if they know more, they are better, useful for the company compared to somebody who is blank right now. And IT is a smart industry. A person who can do job faster, he will be hired first compared to other guys. That's as simple as that. Fine. So that should be your next step when you are doing your self-project development. ChatGPT ने एक बताया, but how to use that? Yes, you need to have a version control system. Yes, you need to use Bitbucket or GitHub, create an account there, put your project there. These services which it said. So when you go to Chat GPT, it spoke about so many services here, right? Services. Okay, this is the flow, and these are the names of the services. So there has to be a separate project for each of the service, payment gateway service, policy management service. In each of the service, what code needs to be written is also explained. Okay, which service will have which methods, claim processing service, claim submission service में ये, processing में ये, and all that. It is explaining everything. साथ में you have to now put all these projects in Bitbucket, use it in your code. Okay, guys, is it clear? Is it making some sense? सोचना पड़ेगा. Yes, I'm not expecting one day may you will become master, but let these thoughts run. Okay, oh, this is how, if you do, you will have a better value compared to a beginner who is not aware of all these things. And if you think, yes, this is how it is, right? More knowledge means more value. Less knowledge means less value. Okay, nice. Arshal, Kishore, nice. Arnab and all the members. Okay, so let's move on. वहाँ पे code हो गया. And now let's say you start coding. Next thing which you need to focus while you're coding is packaging. In your code itself, you write packages. Okay, understand the basics of three-layered architecture. Code it something like this: controller, service, DAO. This is how you build your packages. Controller is the entry, service is the business logic, any database logic goes here. This is one thing, you make it a discipline. Next, second discipline you maintain is, okay, controller calling service layer should happen based upon interface and implementation. Next, service calling database DB DAO layer should also happen based on interface and IMPL. Few disciplines. Controller cannot talk to DAO. Controller cannot talk to DAO. ये basic चीजें tell it in your interview. I developed my project like three-layered architecture: controller layer, service layer, DAO layer. If controller layer wants to call the method of a service, then we used to call it via interface only. And then there was an implementation of that. How you can do all this thing? Yes, in your code. Just have a look here. There is going to be repository. SRC means Java, may your entire Java code will be available. You will have some package naming conventions. Controller is the starting point. So you write .controller. Any programming language may syntax will change, basics of programming will remain the same. There also some kind of controller terminology will be there. Service layers will be there. DAOs will be there. Okay, this is technology relevant concepts. It applies for everybody. Okay, so three-layered architecture, microservice architecture, any programming language, the same stuff happens. Way of doing it, like coding syntax changes, concepts remain the same. Okay, fine. So now देखो, controller. We said controllers, if it wants to talk to service. So there is a payment controller wants to talk to payment service. We said it should happen based upon interface. Just see, this is an interface. So controller is making a API call to this method, pay, validate and initiate. If I go inside this method, it's a interface. But yes, there is a child implementation of that. You can see this child implementation. You click on this implementation, you go to the business logic of the controller. So this is how it is. If the controller wants to talk to the service, it happens based upon interface. Similarly, in the service, if you want to talk to database, there also you would have to create an interface and a child implementation. Again, there are packages for this. Dot service. So dot controller may you place your controller. Next, create another package. Dot service. Inside, define the interface. Implementation of this, define it in service.impl. This is the implementation. Class this implements that interface. Basics से इतना ही बताओ इंटरव्यू में कि okay, while doing coding, layered architecture I found, controller, service and DAO, and I created like this. Controller cannot talk to database. Controller will only talk to service. Service will talk to database. Controller trying to talk. We wrote a interface, we wrote a IMPL. Service trying to talk to database, we wrote a controller, we wrote a IMPL. Now you want to know what are the names of services. ChatGPT has already told us that. It is already telling, okay? It is already specifying us which are the proper methods. Claim submission controller, this is the controller. Next, claim processing controller will have what? Okay, so it is properly explaining us that. And then we had to give me a ready code of controller and service. So it even started giving us that code. Okay, this is how a controller will look like, this is how a service will look like, and then some method which is going to be exposed in that functional logic, and then this is how that service is written, and inside that this method is there, and the business logic is available. So using ChatGPT plus this basic knowledge which we discussed right now, you can build functional repositories. Yes, thoda thinking is required. I know you guys are beginners, but at least right now some words are clicking in you. 3-layered architecture, controller, service, DAO, basic 2-3 disciplines. Guys, is it connecting? Aise code karo. You don't need to be master, but you say, as part of self-project, I learned all these things and I did coding of all these things, and you execute that. And देखो फिर interview में how confidently you will go. Not copy paste, not like अरे मेरे friend ने क्या किया है मैं same बताता हूँ. That lowers your confidence because you did not do it. But you do it self, you will walk. अरे यार, I know everything. Let's take an interview. I coded my own project. You will be so proud about yourself, and that reflects in interview, right? So do it. Okay, nice. Arnab, Sailesh and all that. Good. Okay, fine. यहाँ तक गाड़ी पहुंच गई. You started writing code, business logic by your own brain, by ChatGPT, by understanding what requirement is there, database logic. कुछ बना लिए. You don't need to code a lot of things. Also, 2-3 functionalities we are saying. So you can, if they say, okay, write code about it, you can simply quickly tell, oh, this was my controller, this method, this business logic. You can take a piece of paper and show it to them. Okay. Now comes how this code you tested. Okay, now many students are using cloud platforms like AWS. Many students are using it. AWS for students is actually giving a lot of credit points, this, that, without money. A lot of people are using cloud platforms for their day-to-day working and testing. If you can say this statement, my self-project was running in AWS, it will carry very good value for you compared to saying I was doing it in local. If you say 3-4 of my friends were working together on this project and we were building this application, this is how we designed, this is how we coded, and we deployed it in on AWS, it carries amazing value. But seekna padega. Yeah, basics needs to be there, but you can find all that information if you search the net properly. Okay, mil jayega. Yes, a bit hard work is there, but be aware. If you can somehow really do this thing, it will add a lot of value. Okay, now how exactly you can take this application and deploy it in, let's say, production, or how can you really test this application while you're coding? Few more tools I will tell you. That's how it is. Okay, for example, there is one very popular Java based tool called as Maven. So 1 tool, 2 tool, 3 tool, then coding principles, 4th tool is coming, Maven. Yeah, some of the guys are raising a thumbs up. They already know it. Okay, it is nothing but a kind of a build tool. Now, don't get into all of that, kya hai? But yes, self-explore that. Build a tool. It helps to create or execute an application, manage the dependencies. Something concepts are there. Now, Maven is very common in the Java-related world. There is another thing called as Gradle and all that also. But right, fine. Explore. Many things might be new because you did not work on projects. So now explore. I'm just giving you the sequence. Let's say you did this coding. Okay, focus here. You did this coding. Now this is a Springboot application. Okay, there is a way of running this application. If you want to do the testing in your local machine, you can simply right click here, run as, click here, and just say clean Springboot :run and run it. Okay, just some command. It's like a Maven command, clean Springboot run. It actually runs this application. Okay, like this. You just need to know how to execute your application. Like Java, you used to do for running main class. Spring Boot, it has its own way of running it while you use Maven. So this is the simple command for that. Okay, right? How many of you are aware of this? How to run a Spring Boot application? Okay, Umid is aware. Mohammed is aware. Kishan is aware. Sudha is aware. Very good. Nagmani is aware. Bhavna is aware. Priya is aware. Okay, nice stuff. Many. Harsha, Sai, Saklen. Good. तो देखो ऐसे ही ऊपर आता है. These are not, देखो, when you work on project, you get a knowledge of across all these tools. That is where it is valuable. These are not one-time thing. You will use it daily. That is where it is important. Okay, fine. Now, देखो, the service is coming up. Now, important thing, other knowledge is required. While the service is coming up, देखो, it says application started. Okay, guys, focus. Application started. But all of a sudden, you should know in the projects, we don't write system.out.printlns. We use loggers. Apache ki library say loggers. These are all log statements. In Java, logger ke liye one of a good platform is log4j. So another tool is required, logging tool. Basic projects happen with this itself by default. So if you say, I did my self project like IT, you need to use Maven, you need to use a logging tool. That's a log4j. Use kar lo bhai. Don't use system.out.println anymore. Use these kind of projects. Ek aur tool aa gaya, you can add this in your resume. Okay, in my self project, I did this. Logging seekh liye. Okay, fine. Now, while you are running this, guys, be aware. Spring Boot provides some internal server called as Tomcat. The terminology is embedded Tomcat. It's a server where Spring runs its own code. If you know advanced Java, you will know web servers, web application. Now, this is what you learned another term here. Point number 6, server name is Tomcat. If you check it out in these logs, it says something like this. Tomcat started on port 8080. Again, knowledge बढ़ रहा है. Tomcat started on port 8080. So Tomcat is a server. Now another clarity. Oh, ये port क्या होता है भाई? Right? Then you will be like, okay, whenever a service runs, it occupies some port. There are like 65,000 ports something. One of the port it occupies for its own execution. And using this port, people can communicate to this. Okay, and you can see this port 8081 is a HTTP port. So basic of internet knowledge will also be required. Now, what is the knowledge that we see here? Okay, Tomcat to ho gaya, but along with that, basic HTTP knowledge is required. Port knowledge is required. Next, how to connect to this service using HTTP from external place. This knowledge is also required. Everything gets covered in the project knowledge together. Step by step to seekhoge, right? That's where, yes, you need time for all this, but you can start independently without anybody needing to hire you right from tomorrow onwards. Basic seek, low rest, you can do it smoothly. Okay. Now it comes like, okay, this is the next knowledge which you have to know. What is this port drama? How to connect to this from outside? And then you will realize, oh, in the web world, there is something called as HTTP APIs or REST APIs. Using that, we can connect. Now, what is a HTTP API? What is a REST API? How can you connect? Then something will come to you. HTTP : localhost : 8081 / some URI will be there. This is how you call the service, and you can test your methods. So you write business logic. You can call it with this endpoint and it will work. Browser mein, if you type like this, it will load a website. If it is an API, it will call an API. Kuch to hota hai, but step by step ja rahe ho. You wrote a logic, you're trying to execute the logic. Okay, some of the members are quickly brushing up their full knowledge and skills. For the new members, yes, this could be one-time knowledge, but understand, when you work on project, you get a cross-section, full knowledge across all these things. That's where you need to work on projects. That's where IT values people who work on project, because they are hands-on with all of these things. Not like one day at a time coding for 3 months and then doing this tool for 2 days and never using it and all confused ke kab kya karna hota hai. No, day-to-day hands-on, make your hands dirty, then only you can really master this. So aise karte. Now comes the question, okay, from if you want to do some API, this is an API. Okay, just try to understand this. When we write payment controller, in the payment controller, there is this method. If you want to call that method, okay, we need to call something like /payment/initiate. So here it is payment. If Spring knowledge people can understand this, here it is initiate. So if we do something like this, URI ke jagah /payments/initiate. If you do these two things, /payments/initiate. If you do these two things, you can actually call the business logic written inside this method. Nothing but this can be called. If you can simply do it like this, if your endpoint is like this. Now, point is, how do you test this? How do you actually call this? There are tools available. One of the very commonly used tool in the IT industry is Postman. Using Postman, you can call this kind of an endpoint. Now you have to learn what is a Postman. When you say you worked on a project, that is where today's session will merge everything for you so that you can be self-sufficient. Every topic is a self-exploration. That's how you will master it. But now you have an index ki kya kaise hota hai, and we're trying to have a nice summary demo of how the work happens in the industry. Okay, fine. Now Postman kaise call karte? Okay, fine. I think some of the members are catching it pretty nicely. Postman, a tool like this. Focus, everyone. It will be a tool like this. This is Postman for API testing. Okay, it simply provides, okay, what do you want to call? I want to call this localhost :8081 payment/initiate. Nothing but this one. This one. And then yes, there is some request structure, response structure. Don't worry about all that. But if you call this, this is how you call it. Okay. API call went, response came back. We are able to see the response here. Where does the response come? The Spring code application which you have written, that has generated the response, right? How do you find that? The log statements will be there here, right? Okay, I'm giving a enter. Let's go to the Postman again. Let's try to minimize this. Let's try to minimize this. I'll launch this. Go to Postman. Let's try to check this thing out. Trying to call the same method again. These are the log statements. And now calling that method again. Just see what has happened. We got the response back here. If you see here, we have the response back, but the response is served by your Spring application, which you wrote here. So using Postman, you were able to reach out to the Spring controller, and there just see these logger statements. Okay, the first statement is what? Initiate payment request. This logger is printed or not? So that means the code came to this method. Internally now it went to some other method. Invoking service method. It went here inside Control T and inside here, and then invoking service method. And now the business logic is executing. But now you got to know a tool. Acha, using Postman, I can call and I can test my Springboot system, and it is going to give me a response. That's clear? Clear? Okay. We are running through a cross section, a lot of things together. Okay, fine. Let's say like this locally, now you have to test database mein data gaya kya, logs are coming proper, all the requests, all the response. Guys, focus. Now this code you want to deploy it in production. Production is like, let's say AWS, we want to do the testing in AWS. Now you need to have some basic knowledge about, hey, how to take this code to AWS. Postman tak to gaadi aa gayi. Our next step is, so using Postman, you will do local testing. Your unit testing and all that is also going to come. Let's not jump there. Okay, but let's try to keep it because we have 9 minutes for this call to end. So now, 8th point is doing dev testing in AWS. Okay, Now, DevOps team will be there. Some of the guys will be there who will do the setup of AWS. A machine will be purchased. In that, some software will be written. DevOps will do that work. But as a developer, what you are supposed to be aware of is how to connect to AWS machines, how to deploy, how to restart services. This is developer's job. Next, how to tail logs in AWS EC2. This is developer's job. Next, knowing the basics of Linux commands, which will be used because most of the production machines will be Linux-based machines. Next, as part of this, how to use the VI editor. Again, developer's job. These are all developer's jobs. You need to know how to do all these things. Now, how exactly to do it? You are in local. AWS is in cloud. Local machine, AWS is in cloud. So how do you connect to cloud is based upon an IP. You need to know the IP or the domain. IP or domain of cloud service. IP and the domain of the cloud service. Okay, fine. Now, for example, let's say this is my AWS account. Okay, let's say log back in. Okay, something. Don't get into details about all this. Fine, but some DevOps guy or senior set it up. If you want to explore, yes. But if you in your project, if you show that I did this, we did the deployment on AWS, automatically huge value will come. If a self-exploration person worked upon all this, great value. Okay, fine. Now, AWS में services are running in some place called as EC2 instance. Okay, go inside EC2. EC2 के अंदर Java services will be there. Let's say front-end based services will be there. So be aware, AWS के services का name, EC2 is the service. Now, point number 9. AWS में EC2 is where your services will be running. Okay, fine. Now you can go to the service and then you can check this thing out. This is how your service is. Let's say, where is the service? This is the service. Okay. Now, if you click on this instance, it has multiple details. But yeah, this is how you access this service. There is something called as public IP. That means if you want to connect to the service from external world, this public IP is required. Now, point is, your code is running in your local. You need to go to cloud. You need to deploy it there. You need to run it there. Public IP is going to be useful. Now, how do you really use this public IP? Basic, some commands will be required. You need some more tools will come, some more commands will come. Commands like SSH connects to external machines. Commands like SCP copies code from, let's say, local machine to remote machine. Some of the commands are available. Okay, fine. But now what do we need to copy? You're writing a Spring application. So your Spring code, let's say this is your Springboot code or whatever code you write. This code needs to be deployed in AWS and executed there. And then you have to test it in AWS. How do you do that? Step-by-step process. Step number 1, if you are using Maven, okay, build your code the way you do Java, C, Java karte ho, right? Like this, there is a way of building in Maven. You can simply use Maven clean package, and then you do the building activity. This will give you a .jar file of your Spring Boot application. Some way, once you know the web world, do this 2-3 hours of course on Udemy about Spring Boot, you will get all this knowledge. Simple, it's not complicated. Just take a simple command, right click, run as boot. When you write it here, you don't write MVN, you simply go to the next statement, clean package. We are doing it a deployment on AWS, which is the dev environment. So I'm choosing a profile -dev. Don't worry about it. It's a Maven command to build. And now I'm just building. in core Java, you can convert your class.java having main method inside a jar, and then you can run it using java-jar and then let's say a.jar. This is also one of the way of running your Java application. How many of you guys are able to relate? Core Java basic mein aata hai. You bundle it up into a jar and run java-jar. It runs. Same thing we are doing it in Springboot. Nothing new. Same thing. When you do Maven package, it gives a jar file. Using that jar, we can execute it saying java-jar. Same executable jar file. That is the terminology. Okay, many of you are able to collect it. So using Maven, executable jar file bana rahe. For developing that executable jar file, a command like Maven clean package. Awesome. Simple command de do. It will give you the jar file. Now let's say, is it developing it? Okay, it's executing. It's running some test cases. Unit testing के cases it's running. Okay, it's trying to check whether everything is fine with the application. Okay, so ran 9 cases, nothing is failed, everything is looking good. Now it's coming here, it's building the jar, executable jar file. Just see, this is the name of our jar. The build is successful, building jar, and just see, this is the name of the jar file. Nothing but for executing purpose. Basic Java chal raha hai yahan pe. So D drive, in targets folder it is available. Let me copy it. Here, jar file is there. We created 958. Right now it is created. Okay, fine. So this is the first step. If you want to take this code to AWS and deploy, first step is build your code and get executable jar file. Now your second step is connect to like copy this from your local to external machine. Okay. Now for doing this, step number 2, we need a tool. Okay, we need a tool. Some tool in Windows machine. Mac and Ubuntu guys will already have a terminal, but in Windows there could be some tool called as Putty. Some of you guys might have used Putty, or there are tools called as Mobaxstum. Using this kind of a tool, you can connect to remote and you can play around with the service. And then how do you connect and use these tools? Is using some commands like this: SSH, SCP. Let me show you how to use SSH. I've just copied a reference of this command, okay, using SSH, SCP, and this. Let me just take it separately. We'll go through it one by one. So Mobaxstum looks something like this. This is Mobaxstum. It's a software. Okay, it's a simple software which helps your current machine to get some capability of Linux commands. You can even connect to AWS from this software called as Mobaxstum. The way Putty is there, which helps to connect to remote, Mobaxstum is also there. One more software you got to know here, we named it Mobaxstum. First, how do you connect? There is a command SSH. There is rest of it is syntax. The public IP of AWS. What is the public IP? This is the public IP of AWS. From local, you want to connect to that public IP. So in my command, I am putting that. And then for connecting, there is some secret key to AWS connectivity, just a syntax. You pass that key, you connect to that machine using SSH command. Now I'm copying this. Go to Mobaxstum, take this, paste it here, enter. Okay, we are connected. All of a sudden, from my local machine, we went to Amazon Linux machine. This is the Amazon system now. It is an EC2 machine of Amazon. We are inside here. Okay, we can see some files are already here. Let's say sudo su. Let's see whether any Java process is running. Yeah, there is some Java process already running. I'll kill it, kill -9. Basic Linux command. This is what we are speaking about. You need to know these things. When you say you did a self-development project, ये सब सीखना पड़ेगा. Use this project as a reference to really navigate all these activities for yourself. But cloud का basics आना चाहिए, how to deploy, how to test it, and then you can say, we did this. It adds a lot of value compared to somebody. I don't know all this, right? You can imagine the difference between people, right? It's a black box for majority. We need to solve that. Okay, fine. So this is AWS. Now we need to copy the jar file which we generated in our local to AWS. Okay, so this is the target place. So in the target place, this is the path. So open this path up, notepad. There is this, I have to replace this with double slash, replace all, copy this, and then go ahead with from the local machine, cd, this path, ll, yeah, this is the file. Next, from this local, we need to copy this jar file to the remote. The command for that is this one. SCP is the command. You can simply copy the SCP using the secret key. You copy this jar file to this location. This is how you read the SCP command. And this location is of EC2 machine and then some location there. Okay, fine. Now I'm going here, copy, enter. Let's see. It connected. Now it's moving the jar file from my local to that place. 30%, 37. Jar file jar hai 59. So this is copying from your local to the cloud place. Try to showcase this as part of your self project. Yeah, I worked as per IT standards. This session will act like some guiding, but yes, around that, do some exploring. It will be really good and adding a lot of value. Okay, let's say chala gaya, it's saying you go here, LL, time is okay, 1633. It's a UTC time, 1633. So yes, our jar file came from local to here. Now we want to execute this, start this service up. Okay, how do we do that? What is the command for executable jar file? Java space hyphen jar, right? So in cloud environment, Java space jar, you can give the jar file name. The command is basic. In that, you can allocate how much RAM you want to have, minimum and max RAM capacity. Some of you might be knowing this. Next, there is command, run it as a background process. NoHub does that. Run this process as a background process. If you run it directly like this, basically it will just occupy, but fine. These are basics of maybe Ubuntu related. If you are aware of it, good. Nahi hai to seekh lo. Is something NoHub command, background processing. I will give this session notes to you guys. Process through that. Now fine, I'm just copying this. Let's go to our cloud place, pasting it. Okay. Tail hyphen f p hyphen, these are the log files. This is how you tail. Just see the application server is coming up there. A log file which is generated in AWS using a command called as tail. I did tail hyphen f. Again, basics of Linux is required for developer knowledge. If you say you worked on a self project and that too to the level of using all this thing, your value compared to a beginner is way different. Fine, your service is up and running. I'm just doing a tail. Now let's say the way we called from local postman to this local Springboot, can we call this cloud wala? Okay, let's check it out. Now I'm going here. What is required? The cloud IP. Instead of localhost, I want to now call the cloud IP. Let's see how this works. Here, go back to your postman. Here are we. Instead of localhost, now I want to call the cloud system. Okay, I replace the IP to the cloud IP, and this, let's try to hit it. Just see, response came. Now cloud pe bhi chal raha hai, AWS pe. If you see the logs here, the logs moved. If this is the logs, these are the logs. We are calling it from here. This is the machine. It's not local, it is cloud. This is the public IP of that AWS. Now I'm shooting from here. The API call went, the logs processed, the response came back. We see the response here. Now studying the log. Okay, 201 created, pay, and which object came back? Payment reference and redirect URL. You are able to see that here. This is how you do the dev testing part. Deploy it into cloud, see it from the cloud. Ye karne ke baad, if you just say, I worked on the functional project where I broke it down into pieces, multiple functionalities, decided in these 2 weeks I will work on this, developed it in local, tested it in local, connected to cloud, tested it in cloud. That shows, whoa, this guy has actually done nice, interesting work. In, guys, what, less than an hour, we saw the end-to-end journey, how it happens. If you can replicate all that, it will give amazing confidence for you to walk into the interviews also. Okay, so guys, chalo, everybody, let's mark the attendance today. I will give you this recording, and guys, you have a lot of thinking and working to do. But yes, I am confident by end of today's session, each of you can have your own project. I'm saying can have if you work for it. Okay, I'm not saying everyone will have, because if some of you did not choose to work, you will not have it. So it's up to you. Now the ball is in your court. Sixer uda do. Okay, okay, chalo. Let's take the attendance and let's close the call today, guys. Okay, let me take a minute. Let me take a minute. This is the link. Mark your attendance. Very important session today, guys. And tomorrow we will speak about interview cracking. Okay? So 10 rules by which you can easily crack interview. That is the final day of this mentorship. Daily 2 hours. We have completed 8 hours. Lot of information, lot of value add. Tomorrow, last day, we will end how to crack the interview. Full 2-hour session dedicated for interview cracking and IT career success. Okay? Maza aega. Last day. Just see you then tomorrow 8 p.m. again. Okay, fine. Chalo, let me, not this, mentorship registration, we need attendance. This is the attendance. Okay. I made this modification here. Okay, the summary which you learned, yeah, it was good. Many people are pinpointing what they learned. But now I want you to think one level deeper. Summarize what actions you are planning to take. So what did you understand is step number 1, but what actions are you planning to take based upon this knowledge? Usko thoda sochne lago. I am pasting you the link now. Don't be in a rush to just mark the attendance. Now think, based upon whatever we discussed today, what do you really want to do? Write it down and then take it forward. Okay? Fine. I am pasting you the link, guys. One second. Hold on. Copy. Coming here to chat. Code for today is 4545. Take some time to mark your attendance today. Think for yourself, based upon whatever we discussed today, what do you really want to implement? A commitment ho jayega, right? You are giving a commitment to yourself. Okay, I want to do this. And then copy paste that commitment into your notepad also, so that then you can work on that. Okay, take some time out. Okay, take some time out, think about it. Think about it. कि क्या करना है अभी? We saw a lot of stuff today, theoretical, project building, practical. But if you really feel everybody can do everything, you just need to think, process, work. And yes, challenges will come, but when you solve that, you become better. Think, क्या करना है? I would suggest, yes, pick a domain, pick a project. For that, whatever prerequisite knowledge is required, Springboot, this, that, plan completing that. But AWS का account बना लो, deploy कर लो, tools whatever we listed. I'll give you the session notes immediately after the session. Let me do this thing. YouTube ka recording, if tomorrow it gets delayed, I will give it to you right now itself in this chat. Let me paste this YouTube recording. Okay, copy. Have this recording with you because we will not share it in WhatsApp group. Okay, we will just mail you tomorrow during the day, but maintain this YouTube recording for yourself. Okay, because you took the time out to come on a Thursday evening, regularly joining in. So take value out of this. Take the value out of this. And once you're done, just give a thumbs up if you're done with this. If you have marked your attendance, Shivam is done, Vivek is done, Pankaj is done, Naveen is done. Okay, nice. Chalo, nice. Okay. Guys, there is just this one last thing. Okay. So we do these 2 programs. One is job seeker program, where this is a 5-day program open for all, and then tomorrow is going to be the last day for that. And then every alternate month, next month we will be starting with an internship program for Java guys. Okay, Java ka Spring Boot and microservices internship. It can be a 2 months internship or a 4 months internship. Two options are available. So which will start in March and then end it like March and April, 2 months. Or if you have taken 4th, so it will go March, April, May, June by the end of June. So from 4th March onwards, we are going to start that. Okay, there is that program is paid program. So it's not for free because it's 2 months, 4 months, lot of coding, lot of application development. We will work like in a sprint model. So whatever technologies and all we are going to use in that, we will be discussing those details tomorrow. But if let's say due to some reason you're not getting other internship opportunities, I think you can explore on this one. Plus all these tools and processes which we discussed today, we are going to practically implement that also. But there is a change, okay, for the previous members of January you are in this call. We will be doing the internship in the morning times, the way regularly IT industry internship operates. Okay, so from 4th March onwards, the internship that we start will happen in the morning 10 to 12, 2-hour slot. Okay, but if anybody, like all the January members are also there in this call, don't worry. If you guys are not able to make up in the morning, I will connect 8 p.m. in the evening to give you guys a summary also, plus recording of the morning session will be available. But the way IT operates, so wake up in the morning, join the stand-up, morning mein 2 ghanta, we will take the session throughout the day, perform those tasks, complete the internship, and that is how we will run it, like a 2 weeks of first training, then 3 sprints. So by that way, the 2 months will be done. Regular coding we will be doing on a regular basis in sprint. Okay, so from 4th March, some modifications will come for sprint execution. And more about this program we will be speaking up as part of tomorrow, and the enrollment link and all that will be available. Okay, the pricing is somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500. So for 4 months program, it is around 1,400, 1,500 something. If you are getting opportunity outside, you can do that. But otherwise here you can have an opportunity which you can grasp as well. Okay, but anyways, so tomorrow first topic what we will do is how to crack the interview, 10 bullet points for interview cracking, then how to make career success, and after that we will just talk about how you can enroll 4th March wala internship program. Okay, chalo, thank you everybody for your time, and see you guys tomorrow 8 p.m. for the final day of the job seeker mentorship. Okay, chalo, thank you everybody, take care of yourself, have a nice day everyone. Chalo, stopping the stream. Take care of yourself. Chalo, take care guys. Bye bye. Thank you all.